Zelensky appears to be facing one of the darkest moments of his presidency as Ukraine struggles with mounting pressure on multiple fronts. Ukraine's internal turmoil now seems to be spiraling beyond control, with challenges emerging that go far beyond the battlefield against Putin. A fresh controversy has erupted around Zelensky's inner circle, with speculation intensifying over whether Ukraine's First Lady could face legal trouble. As rumors spread rapidly online, Ukrainian authorities are now scrambling to defend Olena Zelenska amid growing unrest inside the country itself. As corruption allegations surrounding Volodymyr Zelenskyy continue to swirl, Ukraine's First Lady has also come under intense public scrutiny. Ukraine's top anti-corruption agency has firmly denied reports claiming that Olena Zelenska is facing any graft investigation. The anti-corruption watchdog accused Russia of orchestrating a coordinated disinformation campaign targeting Ukraine's First Lady. Ukraine's NABU agency stated that Russian and pro-Russian media outlets were spreading what it described as a wave of misinformation. According to NABU, the allegations involving Zelenskyy's wife were deliberately designed to create internal division and instability within Ukraine. The anti-corruption watchdog said, and I quote, "This information is not true. Such information leaks are part of a systematic disinformation campaign by the aggressor state, aimed at discrediting Ukrainian institutions, undermining trust in anti-corruption authorities, destabilizing the socio-political situation, and weakening the unity of Ukraine in the face of a full-scale war. We urge citizens and media representatives to verify information. Use official sources and not to contribute to the spread of manipulations and fakes used by Russia as an element of the information war against Ukraine." End quote. Ukraine's denial comes amid Russian media reports alleging that anti-corruption authorities were preparing a case against Olena Zelenska. Russian state outlet RIA Novosti claimed that Ukrainian agencies were allegedly planning to detain the First Lady. The report further alleged that Olena Zelenska could face multiple criminal investigations linked to corruption accusations. Across social media platforms, rumors also spread claiming Ukrainian authorities were preparing to arrest Zelensky's wife. A Russia-linked account on X additionally alleged that Volodymyr Zelenskyy had increased security measures around his family. Former Ukrainian presidential spokeswoman Yulia Mendel has publicly accused President Volodymyr Zelenskyy of deliberately prolonging the war with Russia, according to RT News. In an interview with US journalist Tucker Carlson, Mendel claimed Zelenskyy is using the war to enrich his inner circle and political coterie. She further alleged that senior Ukrainian officials are involved in large-scale money laundering schemes tied to the ongoing conflict. Mendel went as far as to label Zelenskyy a dictator and the biggest obstacle to peace, despite once serving as his own spokesperson. Her explosive comments surfaced on May 11th. The same day, reports emerged that a former top aide to Zelenskyy was facing corruption charges. Ukraine's anti-corruption prosecutors announced on May 11th that ex-presidential aide Andriy Yermak had been charged in a major corruption case. Yulia Mendel said, and I quote, "He, Zelenskyy, is a dictator. He is one of the biggest obstacles to peace today. There are a lot of people in his government who want peace. Zelenskyy is going to come up with any condition. He's going to change his positions all the time just to prolong this war and to get more money." Unquote. Mendel argued that ending the conflict with Russia now would amount to political suicide for Zelenskyy, given how much his power rests on wartime leadership. She also alleged that the US and UK pressured Kiev in 2022 not to sign a potential peace deal with Russia during talks in Istanbul. According to Mendel, internal polling suggested Zelenskyy would struggle electorally if full democratic elections were held under current conditions. Ukrainian prosecutors have charged Zelenskyy's former second-in-command, Andriy Yermak, alleging he was tied to an $8.9 million scheme funneled through luxury housing projects outside Kiev. Investigators say shell companies, cash payments, and falsified financial records were used to quietly channel funds into an exclusive complex of 4 luxury mansions with a private spa and wellness center near the capital. Officials say the case is now part of a wider corruption probe linked to Ukraine's state nuclear monopoly, in which 9 other suspects, including former Deputy Prime Minister Alexei Chernyshov and ex-Minister Herman, have already been charged. Authorities allege money connected to the Energotum scheme helped finance elite properties for influential officials around Kiev's outskirts. Yermak has publicly denied owning any luxury homes, insisting that he has only a single apartment and one vehicle to his name. President Zelensky has so far remained silent, issuing no immediate statement after prosecutors announced the charges against his former top aide. All this is unfolding as Russian President Vladimir Putin, on May 9th, suggested that the war itself may be nearing its end, adding another twist to Ukraine's deepening wartime corruption drama.
This is what I would call the so-called globalist wing of Western elites. It is the one fighting us through Ukrainians. In that sense, they are certainly well positioned. They provoked this conflict. I have already said how it began. I haven't come up with anything about the initial starting point. Oddly enough, the discussion was about Ukraine joining the EU. Sure, they could have joined, but it escalated to armed conflict. Why? Because no one cared about Russia's interests. Furthermore, in a desire to use Ukraine as a tool to achieve their geopolitical goals, these Western figures deceived everyone, and they are now publicly admitting it. They began deceiving us about NATO's eastward expansion back in the early 1990s. We were told then, NATO won't take a single step west. So where are we now? All of this, taken together, has provoked the current situation. So I repeat that they are fighting us through Ukrainians. It's already become clear to everyone. We were also talking with colleagues recently, recalling how it all unfolded. We reached an agreement with the Ukrainians in 2022 in Istanbul, but they initialed the agreement. Then one colleague, well, let's face it, Mr. French President Emmanuel Macron, called me and said that Ukraine could not sign such historic documents with a gun to its head. This is his direct speech. We have a recording of the conversation. I asked, what needs to be done? They said, you should withdraw your troops from Kiev. Well, we did. Then another showbiz figure arrived, then British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. He said that this agreement can't be signed as it is unfair. Who determines whether it's fair or unfair? If the Ukrainian negotiating team had initialed these documents, what's unfair about that? Who decides? They promised assistance and started escalating the standoff with Russia, which continues to this day. I think things are coming to an end, but it's still a serious matter. The question arises, why? First, they expected a crushing defeat of Russia. We know very well that they expected the collapse of Russian statehood within a few months. That did not happen. Then they got stuck in this rut and now cannot get out of it. That is the problem. Although there are certainly intelligent people there, there are also those who undoubtedly understand the essence of what is happening. I hope these political forces will gradually return to power or take power into their own hands with the support of the overwhelming majority of European countries.
As Zelensky faces growing domestic turbulence, Russian President Vladimir Putin is reportedly intensifying pressure on multiple fronts. Russia appears to have retaliated after what was described as one of Ukraine's largest drone attacks targeting Moscow City. Russian forces reportedly launched simultaneous drone and missile assaults across parts of Ukraine amid the continuing war. The Kiev Independent reported on May 18 that central and southern regions of Ukraine came under attack overnight. Officials said the overnight strikes injured at least 20 people, including 2 children. According to the Kiev Independent, multiple explosions were heard in Dnipro between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. The attacks came as Ukraine's Air Force warned that Russian missiles were approaching the city. The governor of Dnipropetrovsk Oblast said a 24-story residential building was struck in the assault. Several separate fire incidents were also reported across the city, according to the Kiev Independent. Oleksandr Hanjar said, and I quote, "At least 18 people, including 2 children, were injured in Dnipro, with 8 of the injured victims requiring hospitalization classified as in moderate condition." Unquote. Officials later said that at least 6 Iskander-K cruise missiles were used in the attack. Press TV reported that 10 Iskander-M ballistic missiles were also launched at the city. Separately, Russian drones struck residential buildings in the southern port city of Odessa. The Kiev Independent said the attack injured an 11-year-old boy and a 59-year-old man. The Primorsky and Kievsky districts of Odessa were reportedly hit in the Russian assault. Ukraine carried out a large-scale drone strike on Moscow, something Zelensky confirmed on May 17. The Ukrainian president described the strike as part of Kiev's response to ongoing Russian attacks.
Today, the defense forces of Ukraine, our security service of Ukraine, and our intelligence have worked on a very large scale in the Moscow region. A good deep strike wave of ours. The distance of the targets this time was more than 500 kilometers, which is significant because the Moscow region is the most saturated with Russian air defense assets. They protect their realm of power the most. But Ukrainian long-range steps are already overcoming this. As I said yesterday, the Russians need to think about their refineries, their oil facilities, their enterprises, and not about how to disrupt the lives of other peoples in Ukraine, Moldova, or any other neighboring country. Today, the activity indicators show that our proactive operations per day are higher than those of the Russians, and this is a very serious result. We will increase all forms of supply for our army, drones, ground robots, shells, all resources to maintain proper protection, and our active frontline operations.
At least 3 people were killed in the Moscow region, while a 4th person died in Belgorod. Russia's defense ministry said more than 1,000 Ukrainian drones had been shot down across the country. TASS, citing Russian officials, also claimed that Ukraine lost 6,500 soldiers and mercenaries over the past week.